episode of What Am I Doing? Aaron takes off, little screwdriver, 15mm on a breaker bar, take the belt off. Oh, look. Oh, sounds like a squeaky wheel. So I'm going to replace the alternator in the 8-1 since I'll be doing more towing yet this summer. So as you can see, part of it's disassembled. I will pull this plug out. He's undone. Let's see what we got back here. 10mm. So I'll grab a 5/16. Undo the battery for safety. Get this 10mm out of here. Get those two out there. And we'll work on getting the alternator out of its little cradle here that keeps him fastened to the engine. 5/16 box and wrench here. Took our battery cables off. Our little 10mm here. So it came off the back of the alternator. This post. This plug came right on his own. No biggie. Now we got these two 15s down here. Already broke them loose with a ratchet just to see how tight they were. And they really weren't too bad. This is one of the perks. Yes, I live in Michigan, but this truck is surprisingly rust-free. It came from the great state of Alaska, so it's definitely seen some travels in its days. So, all right. Got one here. Uh-oh. Oh, no. He hits the shroud cover. All right. So you know what that means? You need to take more stuff off. There's a 10 here and a 10 here. So we'll get this cover out of the way, and then I'll worry about getting the rest of this alternator pulled out of here. Or now I'll try to pivot the alternator once both of these are out from their little homes. Alright, so he's out. Alright, now the exciting part. We're gonna get him out because he's definitely trapped in there. So we'll get these two 10s, pull this, pull that bolt out, and then we'll get a pry bar and get that alternator out. So I took these two 10s out. As you can see, this cover is semi-loose, but it's still fastened to the bottom. So I'm gonna do, if you can see here, push this up just a little bit. Is it enough? It is just enough. It's like the engineer knew that somebody was gonna take this alternator out someday. So, he's free. He's just tight, as you can see down in here. So it's best to take a pry bar in here, a wedge, and drive up and get the alternator to swivel, and then you can remove from the truck. All right, so this is actually just tall enough you can drop an extension down in here and pull and pry and scream, and it starts to move. The thing is though, you need two hands to just give her a good heave and a hoe. So I'll keep doing that and see if I can get this thing pulled out of here. Then I'll show it when it's out and then reassembly. Squeaky wheel is out, and he looks like his replacement. Plugs in the same spot, studs in the same spot, but listen to this guy. I'd say his lifespan has come to an end. Ooh, nice and quiet. Okay, so that little fella drops down into this cradle. As you can see, there's debris that actually came out of the old one. So I'm gonna go ahead and line him up. By the way, these are not light. Okay, so I'll line him up, get him close, like so. And then I'll get the rubber mallet and tap these edges to get him into place, because they sit on these little lock collars that actually straddle it and keep it in place. All right, so he's in. So I slid one of the bolts in as a line and alignment dowel and just tapped lightly. You do not need to hit this thing like you're killing snakes. It's an alternator, not an angry wombat. So just get him in, get these to start. Now the exciting part of this whole thing is actually getting the bolts lined up the backside. So sometimes it's worthwhile to try to use a screwdriver and kind of wiggle them into place on both ends. like so. All right, still not lined up, so reach down with your handy dandy favorite screwdriver. There's not enough room here for a pry bar. Get him to start. Get your 15mm. Start drawing him in. Once you get one started, the other will soon follow. And then you'll have a wonderfully installed alternator. So I'm going to crank these in. I'll get them tight, and I'll show you guys putting the plug back in, getting everything hooked up, and I'll start the truck. The plug guy just goes here, pops right in. Take this 10mm off back here. All right. Don't need to put a lot of pressure on it. Tight is tight. It's just a stud going into the back of an alternator. This is not something that needs to be reefed on. So as long as the wire's not moving around. All right, slip your rubber boot back over. Now you can work on getting your belt back on. So I can pull him tight here around the alternator pulley. Get it around here, and then I'll slip it over the idle pulley, and I'll move the tensioner via here. So I'll put this belt on, and I'll get the intake horn back on, and then I'll start the truck. Intake tube's on, belt's on, as you can see, everything's taken care of there. Our two 10mm bolts to hold this on are on, battery's hooked up. Let's start it and see what it sounds like. See if it makes the tripping sound. It sounds like Tweety Bird. I'm hopeful. Charge is good. Ooh, listen to that. Awesome. One step closer to being ready to haul blue down to UCC from our Algae front caliper brackets. Have a good night, guys.